Hello, what's going on, everybody? I just wanted to talk about this module I made. Not really, I guess module, but an exe file, executable. Right now, it's meant to only run on Windows, but it can run probably later on like Linux and stuff. I was kind of modified a little bit, of course, probably not an exe, but some sort of file. But basically, this file was based off of a project that looks like it got abandoned. This is called Duck Hunt. What Duck Hunter does is Duck Hunter, it prevents rubber ducky or other keystroke injection attacks. So this is usually when like you put in a USB rubber ducky and it executes scripts at lightning speed, or Malduinos, or any of those that actually can do HID or human interface device attacks, based on the fact that your computer does trust the user to basically understand, oh, well, they're plugging in a keyboard, so it must be the user, and it must be somebody that's wanting to do, I guess, not bad things with it, like inject scripts or hack into the computer. So this one right here, it works actually decent-ish. There are some issues with it, which, by the way, the person that did kind of notify me of this, not personally, more of like a broadcast, was Satanic at Meltronics. We might know more from like YouTube. He runs this website called Meltronics, and they can sell they sell the Malduino. Actually, he's the person who created it. They also sell Wi-Fi deauthors, USB protectors, keyloggers, etc. He did an article recently on how to prevent hit attacks and such physical protection, such as this Lindy port or using Duck Hunt, and also locking down admin rights by editing certain parts of the registry. This one actually caught my eye because this is probably going to be the one that's easier for people to set up and also is free, and you don't have to buy a Lindy physical port. And he was talking about this and saying the downside only being that a few characters of an attack might get through. Well, I was thinking maybe I might be able to get that up a little bit, so it's a little less than that, while also adding a little bit more features to it. Let me go to the actual file real quick. Figure out where I threw this at. Alright, so we're gonna go to Duck Hunter here. And I'm just gonna run the exe here. Notice how nothing happens. Like nothing comes up. There's a log right here. It kind of tells you when things happen. I have a actor right here, which can act as like a rubber ducky. Unfortunately, I don't have a rubber ducky. Or a Malduino or anything, but we can definitely test this out here. Just start up some Notepad, and we run this. It should stop it about midway. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's for later. Duck actor. I'm gonna click right here, and it's gonna start running. And notice it didn't actually run the entire thing. So that's an example of this. The problem I still haven't really messed with a whole lot, I've been trying to get the thing to work first, is how to actually get this, the program to stop. Because now you have to go back into your task manager, find it, and then kill it. So it is under Duck Hunt. So looks like I think I'm going in the wrong direction here. Oh, there it is. Just hit delete on that. And delete, and it'll kill the process. So go ahead and delete that. So that's the premise of how it works. Without going too much into how the code of Duck Hunt works, you can actually go look at that yourself. I'll include a link to the original place before. But there was a lot of packages actually that were depreciated. Not many, I would say probably 2, but ones that also could have been used more efficiently. It looks like a lot of this was built on Python 2.7. So when I was building it on, it was Python 3.5. Come back here. So the basic premise of this is the same. The only thing I added to this was a GUI, a couple other ways to implement the settings. He or she used a config file, or conf, which if you open it, it just has this kind of thing going on. I decided to go a different route. and use a YML, or a YAML, as I like to call it. The difference is really, in my opinion, just the complexity of it. If you look at, God, I'm having just an issue with this today. So if you look, blacklist, all these here, these parameters are similar parameters that are here, but look how complex this is. You can comment more in here, of course, or not in here, sorry, in here you can comment a little bit more and get away with it, but I didn't really see a need for commenting, considering this could be a file that actually gets spawned rather than created, rather than already being there. It could be spawned by the program, and then it could be saved for later, and that way you don't have to keep remaking the settings. It could just run. I was thinking about trying to implement auto run feature later on, but yeah, alright, let's just get right into it. Let's stop talking. I'll show you how the program works. So first off, we find we're through that folder. Alright, so the main distribution I have here is in this folder, about 50 feet deep. It's called StrokeOff. Sorry for the name. But essentially it's keystrokes off for a certain time. Now what's cool about this, at least in my opinion, the reason why I wanted to implement it, was it actually allows you to choose the amount of time that you want to delay for. What the other one implemented was, let's see if I can get to it, it did some sort of math with the frequency of typing, what the last typed stroke was. Let's see if I can find it. And then, yeah, so right here, speed. So it was the history, so the sum of the array of history over the float length of history. So if there was like 50 characters, it'd be 50.0, then whatever your history was, so the sum of all the numbers divided by 50, and then that would be your speed. If the speed was a certain amount, it would cause it to say, oh, there's an intrusion. The way I implemented it was doing something a little similar. I didn't want to use an array because for some reason that was just something that wasn't on my mind. What I did was I just stored in a global variable the last time, and then I used the current event time, subtracted it, and divided by 2. It gave me a good enough average number just to deal with for the time being. I might change it later, make it more accurate. What I want to eventually do is be able to take this and say, okay, auto thresh. Based off of a number, based off of a person's personal typing speed, using some sort of character per second generator or something. Some of these variables are actually they don't do anything yet. Partially because I copied some of these over from the other program, and just to have a placeholders for now and connect things to. As of right now, the password doesn't really do anything yet, and the size and randrop don't do anything. I think I'm going to get rid of randrop because it doesn't really do anything for when I can implement that, but it's kind of pointless. The whole point was to be in the sneaky mode. It would actually drop random characters as the person was implementing the hit attacks, and so the person wouldn't be aware of it, though that their program probably wouldn't execute at the time. I'd have a different implementation you'll kind of see here in a second. It doesn't really necessarily include that, but it allows you to do an output log. So you can name this whatever you want if you want to name it creatively. So you could say like output.txt. The policy, it comes in 2 variants. This one did have 4 variants, I think. It was log only, normal, and then paranoid, and sneaky. I only have normal and paranoid on here for now. Normal, basically, it just will log things and then block input. Paranoid, what I have mine set up to do is it'll block input, but it'll also lock the computer too. The reason why I decided to implement this is because it'll actually cause the computer to stop taking input to its given program. The blacklist does work as well still, so it can be a variant of different types of programs. So you could do command prompt, and then you can do PowerShell, and these are all going to be divvied up by how the with the comma. Sorry, it's really late at night. I haven't really slept at all. Make sure you get the application name right, because it's just taking the text to like this says Windows PowerShell. It's just going to use that. I got to figure out a decent way of trying to implement that though. Then of course auto threshold. This threshold right here is the value that it gives you. So if you go over a certain amount, or if this number that is right here, the average, becomes over or becomes under the threshold. So if the average is less than the threshold, and the threshold actually becomes greater, then it's going to start doing its logging and everything. The policy is paranoid. It's going to lock the computer. Like I said, this only works for Windows right now. There's probably going to be an implementation I'm going to try to do for Linux. So just for shits and giggles, I'm going to start with normal. 1212 threshold. I'm going to do 30. It's a decent typing rate for now. Actually, do 20. So what this means is the lower the number, the less it blocks. So the higher the number, it's going to go at a certain rate. So you might type, and then you're going to be typing at a rate that the number is going to keep coming up with about 100 or so. I haven't 100% figured out the math, how I want it to work on this. But the general number I've been getting is about 30. I've been setting it to 20 because while the threshold is low enough then for somebody to type, it's not slow enough to where it's not going to catch inputs from like a HID device. It actually blocks it very efficiently. And of course, somebody could counter this by lowering the speed, but of course, then they're sacrificing more time, which then constitutes more people possibly getting caught using these devices. So you just hit the save settings button. No, I'm gonna actually show something cool here. If you want to edit this file, you can. I'm gonna right click and open this. So open with Sublime. So there's nothing there right now. We're gonna go ahead and hit save settings, and we're gonna open that bad boy up again. And now we got all our settings here. We're gonna have our blacklist, and we're gonna have our file name, password, policy, yada yada. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hit start. Now it's gonna start up a background process. Not gonna see it going. We can actually look in our task manager. It should be in here somewhere. It's not here. All right. So apparently, my program doesn't want to work. And to be honest, I'm not sure why, because it was just working a minute ago. So, in the spirit of things, allow me to go ahead and open a PyCharm here, and we'll just go ahead and run it because it works in PyCharm. So it's a working Python variant so far. I just gotta nail down getting it to work to exe. This is the first time I've actually done this to exe, to be honest. Actually, this is my first major, not major, well, yeah, kind of major, I don't know, personally major, because I haven't done this kind of project before. I mainly work with Java, so it is a... Alright, there we go. Maybe, I don't know. Aha. There we go. I'm very disappointed. It's okay, we'll make this work. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete a couple things actually first. So let's go into wherever the hell I have StrokeOff. And I'm gonna use, it's this directory right here, so I'm gonna delete all of these files. That one. Just because I don't need them. Clear that up. The file that actually does run when you do it from source is the stroke GUI. You can technically run this as a standalone, but the one that's supposed to run, so they can run the YAML, they can run, not the duck actor, but yeah, to run the YAML, it'll have to be this one. So if I say normal, pass command prompt, size 1, and the file name will be log.txt. I'm going to do 16. It's going to catch the easiest. Start. Notice this process doesn't really close. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my notepad here that I was vigorously typing on. And I'm going to type. Do it again. So I can type. Can't type. And here's a cool thing. If I run my ducky actor on it. So I'll go ahead and do my duck actor. Go ahead and run it. And let it run. Only gets one letter in. So unless your code can be one letter long, it doesn't look like this is going to get very far. And the cooler thing too. Actually, I don't want to X out of that yet. Let's go start up command prompt. Go ahead and type. Nothing. I'll go ahead and try to run my ducky actor on it actually. So that way I have proof that I'm not lying. Where's my ducky actor? Give me duck. Give duck actor. Oh, I guess I could just run it from there. Duh. Alright. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. And it just ran. So that's just kind of going underneath that blacklist type thing, but also the fact that it can block pretty much all your input given a specific threshold. Now let's say I wanted it super low because like if I type, oh whoa, everything's getting big. If I type and say like hello, how are you today? It kind of goes bad. So of course that may not be a comfortable threshold. So what I'll do is I'll kill that. There's also some things here too. It tells you where the outputs are too, how many milliseconds are between each value. So this would be the original event millisecond. This would be the rounded value, or the difference, I should say. Not rounded. Would be the difference divided by 2. Let's go ahead and start this back up again. We'll do normal, pass. I'm not going to worry about the blacklist this time, but we can pass it com. Size 1. Remember, these size 1 RAM drops don't really matter right now. The threshold, though, I'm going to put it at 15. 15, I think, is the lowest we can go. Log.txt. Save settings. Go ahead and, well, started it. So I can type, hello, how are you all doing today? My name is something. Dark side. Okay. Here's the cool thing. Now, while the input doesn't always get the amount of keys, this technique doesn't block all the things. However, what it does do is it does basically ruin the input. I'll show you how. Go ahead and run this. Now watch this input. Now let's see what that looks like without this. I blocked all that text with just that. Now, if I was to say put in some simple command, well, that's not going to run. And if you're doing any base64 encoding and decoding, your file is going to be a little corrupted. Kind of looks like you're trying to summon a demon or something with that, to be honest. Tismical Hyal no receptor, maybe to be the demon that actually fixes this exe file. Couple cool things actually I want to show. The logs, I have 2 types of logs here. The first log shows each individual event with specific date and seconds and yada. Now, if, say, I got some sort of input and I was like, wow, that's really long, but I also want to reuse that input. Maybe I want to save it for later. Like, somebody attacked me with a really cool attack that I just couldn't let down. Well, I have this kind of log. And what this log does, it just does every single input right next to one another. So that way you don't have to go back through, like, if they did some sort of base 64 encoding, you don't have to go, like, copy, paste, or find some other fancy thing to, like, try to knock these out and then concatenate each letter together. That way you just have it here, and then all you gotta do is use, like, grep or something. But get rid of all these little bracket guys right here. Okay, next part of this is the really cool, run this again, and we'll go ahead and make the policy paranoid. I'm not going to worry about the pass, black, 1, 1, and the file name is going to be, I don't know, log, txt. And we'll go ahead and make the threshold 60 again. Save the settings, and start. This mode is an absolute nightmare if you don't have it on the right settings. Here's why. I'm going to start up Notepad. Allow me to just type. Probably couldn't tell. It just locked me out of my screen. And only allowed one input. Another thing to note, if I type, it'll only start counting the different ones and then lock my screen again if they're different numbers or different letters or keys. I can hold down one letter and it's not going to trip anything. Because I know sometimes whenever I'm typing, I want to hold down sometimes one letter. That can be constituted as a difference between seconds. And it's going to type faster, of course, than I can type. So that might fall into the category of autotypers, such as LastPass, which is what the original creator had tried to had implemented. Of course, I haven't had that implemented yet, but it wouldn't be too hard to actually add in. Go ahead and not save that. And that's pretty much the basics of how this works. Yeah, it doesn't look like that file actually tried to work. So I'll figure out what's honestly going on with that. For the time being, this is the project I have up on GitHub. I did just put up the exe. If that for some reason decides to work for you, it was working for me a little bit ago. I don't know why it's not now. The actor that I just have up there that can input however much amount of text you want to do, the tracker, the GUI, and the StrokeOff. The difference here is the GUI actually was originally StrokeOff. This is the more newer one. They just have a couple differences. This one had some different inputs, so I could actually chain the exes together. So I could actually make this an exe. Then from here, take this exe and make that into an exe. I'm not too experienced with the exe formatting for Python files using PyInstaller, which is what I'm using. But that did work for a short time. But this one was left untouched. So I'm keeping that for there for now. YAML writer just writes to the file in YAML. It'll use trainer, which trainer was defined in this file right here. Though you can look at your stroke GUI or any of the other ones, and it's able to take in inputs and put them in YAML right here. It actually will import from YAML. Alright, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I'll put some sort of contact information below, and check out Satonic, Malduino's, Maltronics. It's his new website. Twitter. This is the original Duck Hunt. Check that out too. Like I said, it was depreciated. Looks like it kind of died about a year ago. There was some to-dos, and I'm gonna work on those some. Or if anybody else wants to help with that too, be gladly appreciated. And let's put one more shout out. Oh crap. Yeah, okay, so that's I locked the screen again. You have to go in here and kill that bad boy. Okay, cool. So hack5.org rubber ducky that I'm trying to stop. It's a great tool. So is the Malduino, but yep, protect you from the attacks. I'll go ahead and put links for all those below, so y'all can check them out. But yeah, if you do have any questions on this, drop me a line, or I'll put in a link to just mail me, or not mail me, but message me somewhere. Or you can message me on GitHub if you want. I'll put in my GitHub. Alright, bye.